Oh, I thought we had a good year. I tried. You got to remove yourself about a month so you can be objective. The competitor, you should have won that game. You should have won. So you got to remove yourself about a month, watch a little film, and evaluate. I thought for the talent level we probably had the year that we probably should have had. In that range. You're always give or take a game or so, but you're not going to win every close game. You're not going to get every call, although in the moment you won them all. So I was happy with our season. I thought we maxed out our talent level.
We're soft. It's really hard to coach people that are delusional. I have to run on the court to get guys to play hard. It's crazy.
There was a point kind of early in Big Ten play, maybe more toward the middle, where there was a kind of a pretty good-sized struggle, and you made it clear that you felt like the guys weren't really living up to their effort level, and they really responded and then went on a pretty nice run. From a coach's standpoint, what do you think about when that happens, and what do you think about them and the way that they respond to that kind of response from you?
Yeah, well, look, the media just saw that one. I'm the same way every day with our guys. I just happened to verbalize it in the media one time. And it was really just the schedule, to be honest with you. In this league, the schedule can dictate whether you have a tough cluster of games or not. But I can assure you, my tone is no different than it is every day in practice. The expectations are high, and I always believe in that.
Yeah, I think your schedule point really well taken, not just who you play, but when you play them, where you play them. How did it compare to what you thought it would be with the extended travel, especially, obviously, it was more of an impact on you guys than it was on any of the previously existing Big Ten teams? Yeah,
like I said, I think that you're always going to have, and no matter what league you're in, even in the old days in the Pac-12 where the travel's not near as cumbersome, let's say, you're still going to have a tough cluster of games, right? And then you have another factor is when do you have to deal with injuries? Illinois went through this. We only had it for like a week. There was a stomach virus that went around the league. So there's just so many mitigating factors to your record that at the time you're just looking at, we should have won that game or that game. But you have to be objective and go back. And I think health, my point, my long answer, health has more to do with it than people really want to accept at times. Probably more so than fatigue.
Which of the returning players that we saw last year who will be back this year, assuming they do stay healthy, do you feel like are ready maybe to take that next step, to become a more dominant player, to become kind of a more consistent player?
Well, we have 6 players returning on scholarship. Now 2 of those redshirted. So people don't know that Eric Freeney and Brandon Williams. And Brandon actually started games for us as an 18-year-old freshman. So I bring them up because people don't really know them, but they're going to contribute for us for sure. How many people have 3 returning players as good as Sky Clark, Eric Daly, and Tyler Bilodeau? And look, Trent Perry is a really good player for us. He was in a numbers crunch last year as a freshman. I expect big things out of him as well. But it's going to be nice to have a couple of seniors that have been in your program, and your better players this year for us, our better players aren't first-year guys, other than Donovan Dent coming in as an All-American. And he's from L.A., and I know him well, so it's, I don't expect us to miss a beat as far as keeping his career on track.
Perfect segue, because I was going to ask you about Donovan, a guy who in the Mountain West was just dominant player. He can score, he can control the tempo of games. I've heard other people say, boy, he reminds me of kind of like a collegiate Chris Paul a little bit, and the things that he can do. Obviously a great comparison, but what will we see from him this year when he's wearing a UCLA jersey?
Well, hopefully a lot of things you saw at New Mexico. The thing about Donnie is he can get the ball wherever he wants to go on the court. It's almost like he's not even dribbling. He can just run. He's almost like running to get wherever he needs to get to. And he's a very underrated athlete. He can climb the ladder. If you watch his highlights, he can climb the ladder and finish on big guys to win games.
Mick, when it comes to the portal, listen, the players needed the availability to move around, perhaps to benefit from what they give everybody else. But there are obviously some things that need to be fixed. When you think about the portal, what's right about it and what probably needs to be addressed before it gets maybe to a spot where we can't reel it back in?
Well, look, I'm all for the players' rights. I think we need to do a better. My thing would be something nobody's going to say in that answer that question. I'm concerned with graduation rates, and especially in the disproportionately affecting African American student athletes. from that didn't go to the best high schools, but then it's really, really hard to graduate. You change majors 3-4 times. That's a big concern of mine. There's so much agent involvement that agents don't care about graduation. They're trying to get their, and I'm not saying they should, but they're not trained the way we're trained. I'm the son of a high school coach that was a high school coach that came up. And when you've been in the business as long as I have, you receive phone call after phone call from former player who's retiring from a 5-year stint in Europe, needs a job. Well, it's a lot easier to help him if he's got a degree. Now, I've been through that. This is my 23rd year as a head coach. I've been through that for a long time now. That's where my mind goes with all this, is when it's over. Now you're going to go back to graduate. Is the school going to pay for you to come back? Because now you only played there 1 year, not 4. And you got paid when you played there. So they're going to say, hey, pay for yourself. So I'm just really concerned about how this affects graduation rates. And just the lives of the student athletes that it's going to affect.
Mick, you brought up your dad, and I thought it was pretty touching last year. And I know you downplayed the 500th win on the day of, but to be able to share that, that had to be pretty cool for you.
Hey, look, whenever you're in a situation, first of all, I lost my mother a long time ago, so it's cool that my dad's been able to experience my career. For me, for the support that he gives me, somebody I can complain to that understands. He was a great coach. It really just be a sounding board. But also for him, right, that he gets to watch his son become a head college coach, at his alma mater and mine at Cincinnati, and then be the coach at UCLA. So I'm sure for him, the whole thing's pretty surreal. But the longer I can keep him around, I'm trying to keep him around. So I'm trying to keep him on the payroll. See, it flips. At some point, you go off the payroll and you put your dad on the payroll. So trying to keep him on the payroll as long as I can. But it's really cool to have him there, not for just for the 500th win, but just anytime I can. You reach a certain point where that stuff matters more the older you get.
Great time to be at UCLA, whether it's men's basketball or women's basketball. I had a chance to talk to Corey coming off the program's first ever trip to the Final Four. How much do you guys kind of talk? Do you communicate much about your teams? Do you kind of bounce ideas off each other ever?
I don't. Their game's a little different than ours, but definitely in the NIL space, I've tried to help. It kind of hit our space before the women, where it outpaced them a little bit. But I would say, we have an interesting dynamic. We have a practice facility at UCLA, the Mo Austin Center, if you've been to. It's beautiful. But they have their own gym. But but we're in the same building. So she has great kids on her team. One thing I will say about our women's program, because I see them almost every day. So it was cool. We didn't obviously get the win against UConn, but I went to Tampa to support them in the Final Four. And, Gabriela Jaquez, I've known since she was in the 9th grade. Her brother was one of my best players I'll ever coach in Jaime. So, but I know, I've gotten to know a lot of their players, because you're just sitting there, we eat lunch with them. We share the same patio, team space, all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. But they're big time. They're going to have another great year coming up. So, our women's program. And I would tell you, at UCLA, the thing that separates it, the Olympic sports also are awesome. We compete for titles and everything. But, it is cool that, they had such a great year, but they're all back. So I'm not trying to put pressure on them, though.
A little bit, but that's okay. I think Corey can take it. That's a pretty loaded rosters, right?